Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Berube here with the illustrious Dick Crawford from Anaheim Hills, California. For another Facebook Live, I should say real estate extraordinaire. Illustrious is pretty good too, though. You have to admit. All right, Dick, so tell them a little about yourself. I just have to say that last time we did this, Dick had a little bit of a, what do you call it, the COVID growth. Yeah, both facially and topically. Which gave you a Unabomber-esque look, right?
Well, my uncle Ted Kavinsky, I was channeling him.
All right, exactly. Be careful. Anyway, so tell them about yourself, how long you've been doing this, maybe a little about what's going on, all that good stuff, please.
Real briefly, I was an accountant for years and years and years, corporate America, office, and things like that. And I'd always thought about real estate and decided to take the leap when I got just a little bit tired going into the same place every day. So took the leap about 18 years ago and really haven't looked back. Really enjoy what I do. It's been a tough slog. My timing was perfect. I started in '04 when things were getting crazy, and then it took a big dump. And I wasn't really ready for that, but made it through. And market has been so much better ever since. And I'm just really enjoying it. I'm coming into my own after 18 years and looking forward to the next few years that are going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's simply, even with the slight interest rates and Fed going on and all that, we still have a tremendous demand because of our inventory situation, right?
Well, yes, the demand supply is kind of an interesting thing. The demand is down because interest rates are so tough, but the supply is down because interest rates are so tough. Sellers just don't want to move and trade in that low rate for a high rate. So kind of a weird market, but as things get a little bit better, there will be more and more people jumping in from both sides. So it's going to be a real interesting next maybe 12 months, definitely.
Yeah, it's an interesting time because when you hear good job reports, that's actually bad, right? Because of inflation. And when's the last time you ever heard that, right? Jobs up, ooh, bad because the inflation. Oh my God! So they keep raising that rate to try to slow things down, and at the same time, cars, there's a lot of the economy is starting to slow down because of that.
Yeah, and or a lot of people say they're really damaging the economy. Well, that's kind of the point. The question is, to what degree are they doing it, or should they do it? And it's debatable. We won't know until it's in the rearview mirror. But again, I think we're so resilient, or at least Southern California, and probably a good portion of the Vegas market, Arizona market, and such are pretty resilient. And I think it's going to be just fine for those who are in the home buying, range of folks. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that might get hurt a little bit more. But those who are in that range of home buying people, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and we saw so many years of appreciation, and then last year started hot, and then it kind of came down. But at the end of the year, we still had a positive appreciation. We'll probably still have that this year as well because prices seem to have leveled and flattened. But because of the tight inventory, we still have multiple offer situations. It's a very unique market, right?
Very unique. And I'm calling it a property specific market. And by that, I mean, some houses will sell in 6 days, some will sell in 6 months. It just happens to fall on the seller to present the property really well, price it really well. It's on us to market it really well, negotiate well. But it's very, very property specific. Some places are going to be very, very desirable, and the buyers that are out there will glom onto them. Some places just won't have the magic, and they'll just sit for a while until the price is right. So
Yeah.
very interesting market. I hope we don't see it anytime soon after this, but we will get through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it, and it's unfortunate because it started off the year pretty hot, and then the decent inflation numbers came out, and they only raised it 0.25 or 25 basis points, and then the inflation report came out, and it was up a half a point. So they're like, okay, so now they're talking anyway. So it's all in the works, and who knows? Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have better interest rates. And we're talking about interest rates, but they're still in the sixes, which is incredible. You can buy it down to the fours, okay, if you want to, and wait to. That's what I mean. If I was out looking for a home today, at least right now, I have more time to pick out the house I want, have an inspection, have an appraisal on the property, get to negotiate some items. If I'm buying my primary residence, this is a good little break or the eye of the storm probably, because once the interest rates change, all these people on the sidelines are going to come out, and even before then, you're going to see them probably jumping back in as well.
Very well said. It's so true. Everybody says, I'm waiting for the interest rates to come down. Well, so is everybody. So, and
Pick a number.
real estate is such an amazing market because it really is transparent, I believe, with the internet and such. And you just can't get anything done without everybody knowing about it. So when the interest rates come down, there's 100,000 people who are waiting for them to come down to that point. Another 100,000 are waiting for them to come down to that point. So as they come down, we're going to see, small waves of people coming back into the market. So if you don't want any competition, get yourself really, really well qualified now and jump in. Make that offer that includes a buy down, and the sellers will understand what's going on if you explain the math. And that's the way to get a job done or get a deal done right now.
Yeah, totally agree. That's the way to do it. All right, enough about the market. Let's talk about you, because you and I have been coaching together for a while now. It's about 6 years, I think, right? Something like that.
Dude, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't make it sound so painful.
I think we started when you had hair.
Yeah, exactly. We did. I had a lot of hair, and then I started coaching you, and next thing you know, no, grass doesn't grow in a busy street is my new line.
No, it's been very, very good. I remember meeting you when we first converted over to Berkshire Hathaway, and you were in our office in Yorba Linda, and we were just talking, and I said, Rick, I want to go to the next level. And you said, all right, let's get to it. I remember that very, very, very clearly. So
Me too. I do remember that.
It's been a good ride.
That was the first office over, behind the Aries, right at the bottom of the hill there, and then we've moved since. But that was an interesting little office that we outgrew, and then started the Anaheim Hills office, which you're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that. And you've had multiple. And I'm not taking credit for them, but I'm saying you've had multiple best years in your real estate career, many in a row. And I think one year you tied for like 5 or 6 years running now.
Yeah, it's been a good run, and all of it's due to coaching, Rick. I mean, what can I say? And a little bit of marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good run. I think the market has been very good to me, and I've been diligent. I've been working it. I haven't been taking a lot of silly time off, just enough to refresh. So I've been fortunate, and of course, very grateful, and I'm in a wonderful area. So all of that kind of has combined to some very good years in a row.
That's great. And so give them, and I know you use Brian Buffini too. So by referrals, right, which is a great system. I love it working with your sphere and the drop bys tell them a little about that. I think that'll be good for them to hear.
The Brian Buffini system coaches us to do calls, notes, and pop buys. The whole idea is making relationships turn into connections. And by that, we end up building a business that's primarily by referral and repeat, which is phenomenal because it doesn't involve dropping leaflets from the sky and spending millions on marketing pieces marketing pieces to get people to come to you. It's more you going to them, meeting people, volunteering, and just asking people, hey, if you ever have any questions about the market, I'd be happy to help. If you know of anybody who's trying to figure all this out, I'd be happy to help. And you slowly get a little bit of momentum going, and then you get repeat business, and then you get referrals. And in the meantime, I look at it like I'm building a life, and real estate is supporting that life that I'm building. And it's coming out of that life I'm building, which makes it a lot of fun because I'm just having a good time doing my volunteer work and all that. And out of it comes business. So it's a marvelous way to go. It fits my personality well. And it's really helped me have some of those best years in a row.
All right, cool. Well, let's keep going on that. So tell them if you could narrow it down to, like, let's say, the top 3 things that you do to go from where you were to where you currently are. All right. What would be the things that you would talk about most?
One of the things in the Buffini system that's not really touted, I don't think outside the system, but once you're involved with the Buffini organization, the first thing they do is they do what they call a heritage profile. And I think now they've changed it to call it real strengths. And you can do this on your own online. There's a site where you can do this called, I think it's realstrengths.com. But basically, it's a little bit of a personality profile. I think it might be the generic way to think about it. But it really talks to you about you. What are you all about? And there's a lot more to it than just the surface and the obvious. Like I think you and I were talking a minute ago, talking about being analytical. Yes, I am, but there's so many different levels below that. So I've gotten to know myself really well and appreciate my strengths. That's what has given me the permission, if you will, to do the things that I do and not worry about the things that maybe I don't enjoy doing or can't do very well. Just go with my strengths. So they talk about calls, notes, and pop buys, and we make our calls to our sphere and we make calls to our pipeline. And then we write notes and we pop by every once in a while. And a pop by is just a simple way to knock on the door and talk to them face to face, whoever it might be, a client or a sphere. I don't do regular door knocking anymore. This is all to people who I already know. And I might come by with a notepad and a pen and some market information, or maybe a little doodad for St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day or something. And very, very low key, but very deliberate. And if it's a very low key gift, not a big deal, I try to spend no more than $2 on the little doodad and then a notepad and a pen. If it's that low key, they appreciate it. If it's something that's kind of silly, like here's a $15 gift, it gets a little weird. So I just keep it real simple and keep the conversation to them and the marketplace and whatever I can do to help. And that's it. 3-4 minutes at the door, I'm gone. And it's marvelous how people respond. So that's probably been the biggest impetus to my business that augments all of my volunteer work.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about that. So the first one you would say is you work your sphere. You have a plan. You do pop-bys. You do calls. You even do pies, reverse drop-by pies at the office. Come by and get one, which I think is great. You bring them by like, Angel and Dodger schedules and things like that, right? So you have a system in a time frame to work your sphere and to keep it going. You also do other things as well, right? Like, I know that you have a system for when you present a listing or whatever. So you have other things that you do to increase your business to where you are. Give them a couple other little tidbits I think would be nice.
You talk about in the marketing area, is that general? I gotta say, to a big part, it really boils down to what I mentioned. But I do some advertising in the local high school football programs and things like that. I'm pretty deliberate and specific where I spend my advertising dollars. I was using AdWorks before, now I use Chalk. But in terms of putting ads in the paper or the bus benches and the general the general shotgun approach to advertising, I don't pursue that. I get very deliberate about it. So because I try to double up with for example, a football team's trying to do a fundraiser and I can help them out with an ad. That's what I do. If somebody's got some kind of a program going on at school, maybe I'll volunteer and work the program, but I'll get my name listed as a sponsor. Or at church, we have a golf tournament, and so it's a fundraiser, and I put a little ad or a sign on one of the tees. So that's how I spend my money, very deliberate to the audience that I'm looking for. That's probably helped out a great deal too. It really boils down to those relationships becoming connections. And I can't emphasize that enough. And that's what makes it so fun for me. I'm building relationships to improve my life in general, and they turn into connections. And there's not a day that goes by somebody doesn't ask me, "Hey, how's the market?" So that's the way it works. It works great for me.
And rumor has it you even, I think there's a July 4th parade that you happen to be a certain person during that parade.
Uncle Sam wants you.
Yeah, I know. I posed for your What do you have, that little shot with you put your head through it and then you're with Uncle Sam?
Yes, yes, that's right. No, I say Uncle Sam wants you to list your house for sale.
I love
Uh,
that.
it's fun. It's in the Fourth of July parade, and I'm riding my bike, and I go a little rogue. I don't stick with um, the service group that I'm with. I just kind of take off on my own, and I'm playing with the crowd and kissing hands and shaking babies, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Good way for me to get out there, and inevitably, of course, I'll see about probably maybe 10 or 12 people in the crowd who know me, and that just makes it fun for them. And again, it strengthens that relationship. They see me volunteering and contributing, and people like that. So it's a
They
lot of
really
fun.
do. Yeah, being part of
Yeah.
the community is completely helpful. I mean, you have a great brand, Berkshire Hathaway. Plus, you have a great brand yourself, and you're out there. You even do. I think you do a client appreciation party too, don't you?
Yes, that's the pies you were talking about. I used to do bowling, and bowling got a little expensive, and not everybody bowls, and that's not the point. They can still come by, but they always hesitated. So I didn't get a lot of traction on the bowling. So I shifted over to doing what I call a reverse pop by. Normally, I would go to their door with something, and this time I have them come to me, and it's pies for Thanksgiving. So on Tuesday or Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, I'll have people come by with a pre-ordered pie. So they tell me what they want, and I order it for them and put their name on the box. And they come see me, and I'll have, of course, marketing information and a pen and a pad of paper and things like that too. But I give them a pie for Thanksgiving, and I probably do. I did over 50, 55. I think I did 55 or 57 this last year, and people absolutely love it. It's some of the best money I spend on marketing because it's very deliberate and
Mhm.
very specific. Gets them to come to me. They see our awesome Berkshire Hathaway offices, and they see me in my element, if you will. And we have a few minutes to talk, and other clients come by at the same time, and so it's just a lot of fun.
No, it's
It's
great.
been very, very successful. One of the most fun things I do all year.
That's great. And then you have other contacts with them before because you get them to pick out which one they want, right?
Yes, about a month before, I'll send out an email and I'll follow it up with a phone call, and it's giving them a short list of pumpkin, pecan, apple, things like that, and I beg them and provoke them to place their order a couple of weeks in advance. And I got a deal set up with a local restaurant, not a chain. I don't go to Costco. I go to a local restaurant with a bake shop, and I get their pies, and they're in a nice box and all that. So once we get through the process, I've probably contacted them about 4 times, and then I follow it up with a nice note. Good to see you. So it's a good 4 or 5 times in a month, and all around a good thing. And I try to keep the business side of it on a low key because this is all relationships and happy holidays and things like that. But inevitably, they ask, and I'm happy to tell them how the market's doing.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea. I mean, obviously, the key, that whole setup and all the contacts, and it's the holiday season. And Thanksgiving is so awesome because it's always on Thursday, so you can do it on the Wednesday. They're just getting into that holiday spirit, and they've got the Dick Crawford apple pie. All right, from
Yeah, yeah.
or pumpkin or whatever it is.
No, it's crazy. I load up my trunk, and the trunk is like up to the gills with pies. I have to be very careful driving home because it could get messy. So
Yeah, you don't want to have an accident, right, with all your
yeah,
pies.
upside down cake instead. So
All right, Dick. Well, we're just at time right now. So, any final words you want to leave these lovely people? That was completely awesome and helpful. I really appreciate your time. And anything you want to leave them with?
yeah, I like the idea of I've got a couple of things written down of nurturing those relationships into connections. That's just a big part of it because those connections will work for you, and that's what's so much fun is when people come to you on it with a warm connection. In the meantime, I participate with joy. Just everything I do, I just try to really enjoy it. It's not, I don't try to put on a happy face. I just try to be happy
Mhm.
and do it with joy, and that makes a big impression. And it helps me get through the day, of course. Um, Throughout all of it, I'm trying to get to get to know myself even better. And that's a big thing too. I give myself more grace than I used to because I know myself better and I know my strengths and weaknesses better. So that's a big thing. In the process, I try to make mistakes faster so that I can get back on track. Nothing like making a good mistake to give you a little perspective. And also along the way, I've created some mantras that I actually believe in, not just a pie in the sky mantra, but mantras that I actually believe in and that I can embrace. And that makes it a lot of fun and gets your head straight too. So there's a few things.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're very intentional, and you've really, especially when I've been working with you, it seems like you've really gotten more intentional. More, you're into the numbers. You send in your commitments. You do a business plan. You even do the tax part of your business plan, CPA, right? Which is important. I'm not. Which is,
Oh yeah.
and that's a tremendous help to have you achieve your goals, isn't it?
No question, because I visited a couple of times a year too to say, okay, how am I doing? Is this making sense? And of course, from that plan, it whittles down to weekly activities and such. I'm a little bit of a free spirit, so I don't get into too much of the planning the daily activities, I have to admit, but I've got weekly activities that I get done, and that all comes from the big picture of the goal. So it's a big deal. It's kind of tough to get through sometimes, but it's a big deal. And I will say to everybody, don't forget the tax aspect of the budget because most budget and planning don't even consider it. We get hammered with that 15% self-employment tax. Don't forget that when you're doing your business planning.
That's right. That's right. You do. Okay, lovely state of California. All right, but that exactly. That being said, and you know what the thing is that when you set this all up ahead of time, all right, it's like setting a little mental GPS. My business plan has the basic numbers in there, but yours gets way more specific about it, which I think is awesome. And I know that's why I wanted to tee you up because I knew you'd love to tell them that they always forget about the tax aspect as a real estate sales professional.
It's amazing when, as you say, it kind of, puts it into your head. A couple of times I have not looked at my plan for quite some time after, say, mid-year, and I'll get down to the end of the year and I'll look at it and go, wow, I came in pretty much exactly what I thought I would or what I planned to. So it really does set that. And I might come into the plan with a couple of closings in November, December, just got them in under the finish line there. But it truly is amazing how it sets your mind. Even if you don't review it constantly, it sets your mind in the right place. So,
well, and I know you know who John Wooden is, the coach of the UCLA, right? He said every year, he didn't tell anybody this until after he retired, but every year he would sit down in his office and he would look at the schedule and he would pre-write the what the record would be based on wins and losses and tuck it in a ceiling tile for no one to see to the end of the season. And he said it's almost amazing. Sometimes the wins and losses were off, but the numbers were always right on or very close. So I think a lot of us.
That's a guy who knew his craft, he knew his
Yeah.
competition, and he knew his abilities. All three of those things, and the more we can get into that, and the closer we can get to being good at that, we'll have a record like John Wooden. I can only hope.
Wouldn't that be great? That's why he's called the coach by the people that played for him. Not even the coach, like the quintessential of all coaches. And it's funny because you talk about details. He would start off first practice with showing them how to put their socks and sneakers on to avoid blisters because you're going to run a lot if you're on his team.
Correct. And there's a good way to do it. Also, he never spoke about the opposing team.
Right.
He always spoke about what we're going to do to be our best in that game. And here's how we're going to improve to be our best. He didn't talk about, oh, these guys are good, we got to watch out for this. He said, this is what we're going to do to be our best. And man, that is a great frame of mind. It really points you in the right direction. In fact, that's one of my mantras. One of my mantras is, there is no competition. I'm just being my creative self. And
I love it.
That's just allowed me to go out and do what I enjoy. And the heck with the competition, because I'm going to win some and lose some, but I'm going to enjoy doing it and get better and better each time.
I
So
love it.
thank you, John Wooden, for that one.
Thank you, John Wooden. All right. Well, thank you, Dick Crawford, for taking your time out this morning, a half an hour. This was extremely educational and wonderful. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot out of this. And I want to thank you. And I'll see you soon for your awards, too.
Yes, you will. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Rick. Enjoy it.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.